Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel, The Primordial Law. Volume 7, The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 151, 826, Flying Phoenix. 151st of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. The number of cultivators converging on Wangjiang border city continued to increase. Li Wei and Tang Shituo remained hidden, not out of fear, but because it served their upcoming plans better. Crack. A deafening sound erupted, as if the sky itself had been torn asunder. Within a 100-mile radius, countless creatures who had come to offer congratulations were forced to their knees by the overwhelming force. Gasps of terror and cries of alarm echoed across the land, and even the transcendents present paled visibly. Li Wei peered into the void and saw a colossal phoenix claw tearing through space, distorting reality, igniting the night sky, and radiating the terrifying aura of a soul-devouring spirit. Clang! Yu Yaozi stood on the banks of the Huang River, ethereal as an immortal maiden, wielding the void enlightenment sword. With a single strike, she unleashed a surging nether river of sword chi that blotted out the heavens and earth, connecting the northern and southern reaches of the void. The phoenix claw shattered into countless fragments. Yu Yaozi turned her gaze toward the nether realm of the dead in the southeast, her vision piercing across 1,000 miles to discern the figure of the flying phoenix. The demon empress arrived late. If war is what you seek, this seat will gladly oblige. Should you fall in battle, your reputation will be utterly shattered. 10,000 years ago, Yu Jia had given birth to the flying dragon and the flying phoenix. Flying Phoenix achieved her Xuanhuan realm breakthrough during the Immortal Fall event over 3,000 years ago. She is about to face her minor cycle tribulation. Upon hearing Flying Phoenix's name, Li Wei's heart tightened. As the Grand Palace Master so confident? Flying Phoenix has only cultivated in the Xuanhuan realm for 3,000 years, she doesn't necessarily have a significant advantage. Moreover, with her minor cycle tribulation imminent, she can't afford to be injured, Tang Shituo explained, drawing on his understanding of the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor's realm and the immense difficulty of their breakthroughs. He cited Yu Baxian as an example. Despite a lifetime of arduous cultivation, Yu Baxian had failed to make any progress in the Xuanhuan realm, ultimately withering away due to his depleted lifespan. If that's the case, Li Wei asked, why did the Flying Phoenix Demon Empress intervene? What would have happened if the Grand Palace Master had failed to block that attack? Tang Shituo countered. Li Wei's mind flashed back to the terrifying claw mark that had rent the sky. That's true. The situation would have become dire. If even a sliver of the Flying Phoenix Demon Empress's claw energy had bypassed the Grand Palace Master's sword chi and struck down a transcendent, the Grand Palace Master's momentum from her Xuanhuan realm breakthrough would have been severely undermined, drastically diminishing her influence in the region. Tang Shituo nodded slightly. The threat from the nether realm of the dead is too great. The Flying Phoenix Demon Empress won't engage in a life or death struggle with the Grand Palace Master, it hasn't reached that point. She merely seeks to gain an advantage in the upcoming competition for the East Sea Immortal Dao Dragon Bane and bolster the East Sea Dragon clan's position, preventing them from crumbling under the pressure. Huang Yuyao, the Lingxiao realm and the East Sea's fate for the next century are destined to become the epicenter of the world's conflicts. If you return, you will inevitably become the target of universal animosity, unable to escape death and destruction. The Flying Phoenix's voice faded into the darkness, disappearing into the void. 2 days later, Yu Yaozi intercepted the twin rice sect's rice ancestor in the nether realm of the dead as he attempted to flee to the Kanghai rice realm. She killed him with a single sword strike, and avenged the Six Thoughts divine mind curse. The twin rice sect had 2 rice ancestors, one of whom had died 7 years ago. Only a single page of the luminous star tome was found on the rice ancestor's body. The remaining 8 pages had already been sent to Ji City. Yu Yaozi subsequently traveled to the Rainforest Living Realm, the Zhao clan, and Dragon Island, startling powerful figures like the Nether Dragon King into fleeing. She then ventured to the 10 restored prefectures along the East Sea coast, searching for the Old Farmer and Straw Man, 2 of the twin rice sect's 3 great culprits. The transcendents of the Rice Palace, who were stationed in the East Sea, bowed respectfully and informed her that the pair had already fled southern Yingzhou for Central Earth. After leaving the East Sea, Yu Yaozi entered the nether realm of the dead, seeking the dead spirit transcendent who had attacked Lingxiao City 7 years ago. Meanwhile, Li Wei bid farewell to his 3 masters and prepared to head to Cave Void Camp. Before departing, he secretly visited the Thundercloud sect. Originally, he only intended to collect some azure nether lightning along the way, so he only planned to visit Shintiansong. However, his arrival unexpectedly alerted the sect leader of the Thundercloud sect. The sect leader personally received him with a warm smile and showered him with praise, his tone exceedingly cordial. It's only been a few years since we last met, yet your name has already shaken the world, glorifying the might of our Lingxiao realm. Now, whenever a Lingxiao martial mystic cultivator ventures out, everyone gives a thumbs up and says, "Ah, the Lingxiao realm." That's where Southern Dragon Li Wei comes from. Elder Qin, am I exaggerating? Qin Tiansong, standing beside him, stroked his beard and chuckled. The reputation of the strongest Earth-ranking champion in history naturally brings immense honor to all Lingxiao martial mystic cultivators. The sect leader continued, Wei Yi, you must have been by Great Palace Master Wangzhang's side when she attained the breakthrough to the Xuanhuan realm, right? Li Wei knew that the sect leader's extraordinary courtesy wasn't solely due to his Earth-ranking title. He nodded. Please keep this confidential, sect leader and senior Qin. The Immortal Ascension competition is far from over. This concerns the life-preserving spring. Who would dare leak such a secret? The sect leader of the Thundercloud sect glared fiercely at Qin Tiansong. Qin Tiansong immediately swore an oath to maintain absolute secrecy. Li Wei was filled with complex emotions, recalling his previous visit to the Thundercloud sect with Master Coffin. Back then, the sect leader had treated him as an insignificant junior. The martial Dao Heavenly Emperor's authority is truly terrifying, he thought. Having obtained the Azure Nether Lightning, Li Wei prepared to depart. Following the sect leader's orders, Qin Tiansong presented him with a generous gift, a fist-sized Dao nurturing crystal imbued with thunder and lightning attributes. Li Wei accepted it gladly, recognizing its immediate usefulness. He avoided meeting Qin Qian, fearing misunderstandings from the Thundercloud sect, and refrained from visiting his friend Lu Wensheng, not wanting to startle him. Leaving Thunder Prefecture, Li Wei used the transformation technique to assume the appearance of Elder Qin. He then activated the space teleportation formation at the Moon Dragon Island outpost, returning to the Cave Void camp. During the Immortal Ascension competition, Immortal Ascension beings were prohibited from using teleportation formations. He had to remain extremely cautious, leaving no evidence behind. As Li Wei pondered how to evade identity checks in the Heavenly Star Mirror, he stepped out of the teleportation formation and discovered that the person overseeing the teleportation hall was none other than Vice Sentinel Lord Lu Tianshan's clone body. Lu Tianshan glanced at him, recognizing he wasn't Mo Qin. I anticipated your arrival these past few days and waited for you personally in the teleportation hall. The rumors about my involvement in Tang Wanzhou's matter are true, they are not fabrications. Li Wei sighed. Given the Deputy Sentinel Lord's character and principles, it must have been difficult for the Grand Palace Master to persuade you. The Grand Palace Master must consider the overall situation. Lu Tianshan's expression tightened as he led the way to the camp hall. As for Tang Wanzhou, I will personally compensate her. Don't wait for the future, Li Wei said. Do it now. Lu Tianshan stopped and stared at him. Li Wei spoke earnestly. Please issue 2 orders, Deputy Sentinel Lord. First, a military decree ordering Tang Wanzhou to return to camp immediately and assume the position of Shaoyang Division Holy Commander to counter the Taiyan sect's new true disciple, Bai Yi Qinglian, who seeks revenge against the Sentinel Spirit Army. I need this decree to carry with me. Lu Tianshan pondered. That's a convenient excuse. But, you're giving up your position as Holy Commander. Li Wei hesitated, then lowered his voice. I have other important matters to attend to. After the Immortal Ascension competition, I may not be able to return to camp. Lu Tianshan assumed the Grand Palace Master or the Mist Heavenly Emperor had other arrangements and didn't press further. I owe her this. I'll take the blame, issue the military decree, and answer to the Sentinel Commander's inquiries. What's the second order? Order everyone in the Shaoyang Division to reach the Sword Dao Imperial City before New Year's Eve to escort the Holy Commander back to camp. Tell them the truth, their participation is entirely voluntary. Li Wei didn't want Zhuoqiu Hongting to shield him from the world's mockery and scorn, hence he used this strategy. The Shaoyang Division members would only need to wave banners and shout encouragement. All he needed was legitimate authority. The number of participants didn't matter, the Shaoyang Guard accompanying him would suffice. Very well, Lu Tianshan agreed. Li Wei continued, Deputy Sentinel Lord, you've repaid your debt to Tang Wanzhou. But what about what you owe me? You're forcing me to go. Guilt gnawed at Lu Tianshan. Before he could finish, Lu Tianshan snapped, what else do you want? Li Wei produced a pre-prepared list from his robes and handed it over. The list included Dao nurturing crystals of water attribute, wood element, and metal attribute, along with heavenly talisman mud, life-preserving talismans, transcendent Dao techniques, emperor medicine herbs. Lu Tianshan gritted his teeth as he scanned the list. Not a single item came cheap. This brat was treating him like a fool. It was clear that his anger was mostly feigned, a pretext for extortion. Whoosh. Lu Tianshan threw the list back, vanishing instantly from his spot and reappearing outside the camp hall. Li Wei picked up the list and chased after him into the hall. Deputy Sentinel Lord, as the Life Realm Lord, a great figure who's lived for nearly 3,000 years, you can't even afford this. Should I cross off a few items? As Li Wei entered the hall, he saw Zhuoqiu Hongting approaching. His gaze shifted to Zhuang Xian's figure deep within the hall behind her. Li Wei stared into Zhuoqiu Hongting's eyes, smiling as he asked, Hongting, did your master bestow any treasures upon you for self-defense? That last time was too close for comfort. At the Vermilion Palace, I crushed his spirit summoning talisman. They say the Grand Palace Master arrived first. Zhuoqiu Hongting quickly covered his mouth, gesturing urgently. She whispered in his ear, Master gave me a life-preserving talisman and an immortal bone found in the underground ocean. Don't say another word. He's still angry with you. Seeing Zhuoqiu Hongting had gained something, Li Wei stopped talking and removed her hand. I knew it. Aside from Qing Zijin, the Sentinel Lord cares most about you. You're his most prized disciple. Remember to be grateful in the future. The Sentinel Lord is now universally recognized as a renowned teacher, a virtuous mentor, a sage master. Get him out of here. I haven't seen him since the Immortal Ascension competition began, and I don't want to now, Zhuangxian said to Lu Tianchen, taking a deep breath and forming the meridian seal with his hands, striving to restore his mind to its natural state of clarity and tranquility. Sentinel Lord, Li Wei came to apologize. He was forced to write that letter. Also, I'm here to resign from my position as Shaoyang Division Holy Commander, Li Wei said with a bow. Lu Tianchen explained the situation to Zhuangxian. Seeing that Li Wei wasn't simply abandoning his duties, Zhuangxian nodded slightly and said from a distance, once you join the Cave Void camp, there's no leaving. When you receive my summons in the future, you must return to the camp. The next morning, Lu Tianchen brought a box of heavenly talisman mud, a Void Ruins camp military order, a transcendent Dao technique, an Emperor medicine herb, and 3 Dao nurturing crystals to Li Wei's residence at Clear Sound Pavilion. The heavenly talisman mud is extremely precious, the Sentinel Lord gave it to you. When are you leaving? Today, I think. The sooner I get there, the sooner I can test the mettle of the Demon Kingdom and the 8th generation Emperor's disciples of the Sword Dao Imperial Court. Li Wei retrieved the first 6 tiers of the Golden Holy Bone manual cultivation method, which he had prepared in advance. I'll need to borrow the 8 divisions profound robe again. I have some papers here for the Deputy Sentinel Lord. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 152, 827, Imperial City Sword Debate. 152nd of Volume 7. Translator, Shadow Knight AK. Editor, Shadow Knight AK. Outside Cave Void Camp, at the halfway point of the tallest mountain peak, Li Wei bid farewell to Zhuoqiu Hongting. Zhuoqiu Hongting's eyes sparkled as she sighed. To be honest, you know the Sword Dao Imperial Court and Tang Wanzhou's marriage is a trap to lure you out, yet you're still going without hesitation. No matter how calmly I pretend to support you, I can't shake this unease. It's like last time, when I helped you smuggle Zhang Ning out of the city. Why is this happening? Has our brotherhood become tainted? Li Wei smiled reassuringly. I anticipated this. That's why I couldn't bear to ask you to come with me to the Sword Dao Imperial City to retrieve her. It would be too unfair to you. You're such a smooth talker, Zhuoqiu Hongting rolled her eyes. No wonder Yaoyan and Li Ling were both bewitched into fools. Li Wei quickly protested, old Li treats me like a nephew, and Li Ling is my sister. So you've finally shaken off Yaoyan. Before he could answer, Zhuoqiu Hongting lightly shook her head and smiled, dismissing the topic. The 8th generation immortal cultivators have cultivated for far more than just 60 years longer than Jiyu Junxiang, senior brother Shen Ji, and the others. I heard that during the past 3 immortal ascension competitions, many revealed their true strength, making a name for themselves overnight. Major powers typically confer titles such as True Disciple of the Ancient Sect and Emperor's Disciple before the first Immortal Ascension competition. In other words, the heavens chosen among the 9th generation Immortal Ascendants haven't yet fully benefited from the resources and advantages associated with these prestigious titles, leaving their superiority less pronounced. For instance, Wenrenting Hai, the Demon Kingdom's Tanhua, isn't significantly ahead of Cao Lin, Long Qi, and others. The latter 2 are only slightly inferior, having simply lost in the competition. However, the 8th generation immortal cultivators are different. They've held the titles of True Disciple of the Ancient Sect and Emperor's Disciple for a full 60-year cycle. Over these 6 decades, they've amassed cultivation resources far surpassing those available to other immortal ascension beings. Moreover, they've had access to time formations for cultivation. Take the Rice Palace's True Disciple from the 8th generation, who has already broken through to the Nirvana realm. It's highly likely he achieved this breakthrough through the Nether domain. Even if he didn't cultivate there for 6 centuries, he likely spent at least 2 or 3 centuries within its accelerated time flow. If the Demon Kingdom's royal clan possesses a Nether Spirit ancient tree, how could the Rice Palace lack one? Emperor Ji, who led the attack on the Void Ruins ancient kingdom, still lives. Hongting, I will definitely come back for you. I promise, Li Wei said meaningfully. Staring into her captivating eyes at close range, his mind flooded with memories of their shared past, and he unconsciously reached out to embrace her. The two embraced briefly, exchanging farewells and wishes for safety. Zhuo Xuanhuan descended the southern slopes of the mountain, returning to Cave Void Camp, while Li Wei descended the northern slopes. At the foot of the mountain, on the snow-covered plains, a soul beast carriage awaited. Yu Yaozi sat on the carriage seat, leaning against the doorframe. She wore a plain white martial garment with a tightly cinched wide belt, her skin as translucent and flawless as immortal jade on her face, neck, and hands. Her hair was tied in a ponytail with a vibrant ribbon. Her demeanor was cool and composed, yet spirited, lacking the regal aura of the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor and resembling more young, ambitious martial mystic cultivator. Perhaps this was the very temperament and appearance she had possessed during her time in the immortal realm. Grand Palace Master. Li Wei greeted her with a formal bow, clasping his hands. Tang Shituo won't be traveling with us, and I'd prefer to journey alone as well, Yu Yaozi said casually, resting her head against her hand. But after much consideration, I can't bear to let you cross the Demon Kingdom alone. I'll accompany you for a while. Li Wei immediately protested, Grand Palace Master, you call yourself my master, yet you've never taught me any profound techniques. Instead, you've learned all my sect's techniques. This. Yu Yaozi straightened up. Very well. I'll teach you the 8 slashes of the Nether River. The journey to the Sword Dao Imperial Court is long, over 200,000 miles. How much you learn depends on your comprehension and aptitude. Get in the carriage. Inside the carriage, the space was as vast as a divine temple, measuring over 50 zhong in length and width. The interior was lavishly furnished with bookshelves, jade desks, incense cauldrons, screens, and every conceivable amenity. It was a spatial treasure, a mobile palace. The fallen soul beast soared into the sky, heading north. Inside the palace, Li Wei voiced his concern, won't our crossing the Chaos Zone and Demon Kingdom territory attract the attention of powerful beings? Yu Yaozi crossed her arms, her voice brimming with arrogance. Firstly, the world's experts still believe I remain in the nether realm of the dead. Secondly, you underestimate the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor's concealment techniques. As long as I suppress my qi, even if we entered Xiaoyao capital, you Baxian wouldn't sense a thing. Then why not head to Xiaoyao capital and settle scores with the second palace master and the Heavenly Emperor of the Demon Kingdom first? Li Wei suggested. Yu Yaozi shot him a cold glance. Too risky. Do you think everyone's as reckless as that old fool Qing Si? He's a man who doesn't value his life. Dealing with such people is a headache. Li Wei had only made the suggestion casually, testing the Grand Palace Master's attitude toward Xuanhuan. Grand Palace Master, let's make a detour to Crimson Bright Holy City first. Li Wei settled into the jade throne at the head of the table, reserved for Yu Yaozi alone. He retrieved various materials from his cosmic pouch and began refining them. Then, a 4-colored spiritual light radiated from his forehead, converging at the tip of his brush as he inscribed an invitation card. Yu Yaozi strolled leisurely to the desk and glanced at the golden sealed jade invitation. The invitation read. Li Wei, 9th generation immortal ascendant, having obtained the 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual in the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy, sincerely invites the true disciple of the ancient sect, Emperor's disciple, Tao Technique successor, and Life Realm's mandate of the 8th generation. Those who receive this invitation shall be recognized as peerless talents of their era. On the final day of the year, attend the Imperial City Sword Debate Banquet. Those without an invitation are beneath my notice. Do not disturb me. Those who catch my eye may observe the 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual and ascend to the pinnacle of the martial mystic Tao. Yu Yaozi pondered briefly, a smile blooming in her eyes as she grasped his intention. The Imperial City Sword Debate. You're creating a separate sequence for the 8th generation immortal cultivators. Those who will receive Li Wei's invitation would clearly hold a distinct status among the 8th generation immortal cultivators. After all, Li Wei now carried the aura of being the strongest Earth rankings #1 in history, coupled with the newly established prestige of his master, the martial Tao Heavenly Emperor. This, Imperial City Sword Debate, invitation was essentially a challenge letter from the 9th generation immortal ascendants to the 8th generation, destined to shake the world and capture global attention. Those who received the invitation would fare well. Those who didn't receive an invitation would surely feel inferior. How could they possibly accept such a slight? Li Wei was emulating the Mount Hua sword debate. After all, once he challenged Bu Lianxi, all 8th generation immortal cultivators would be free to attack him. Given this, rather than facing the 8th generation immortal cultivators from the Demon Kingdom and Sword Dao Imperial Court alone, he might as well draw all the top experts among them into the fray. Li Wei concluded his proclamation with the line, only by facing Li Wei will talents realize the mountains are lower than the heavens. Flicking the heroic proclamation with his finger, he smiled. Talents of the world, enter my shell. Even Yu Yaozi found his arrogance excessive, her brow furrowing slightly. She refrained from comment, instead saying, "Show me the golden holy bone manual." Li Weiyi's smile faded as he folded the invitation. He sighed. The Grand Palace Master hasn't even taught me the 8 slashes of the Nether River, yet she wants to learn my physical body cultivation method. Who exactly is the master and who is the disciple here? Who is the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor, and who is merely an immortal realm martial mystic cultivator? Upon entering Crimson Bright Holy City, Li Weiyi went to the Heavenly Pavilion and found the 1,000-Mile Mountain manager. He handed over 15 invitation cards for the Imperial City Sword Debate, exactly half the number of first sequence martial mystic cultivators. While sipping tea, Li Weiyi said, 1,000-Mile Mountain will set up the sword debate arena, send out the invitations, and maintain order. I won't interfere with your profits, but I require 7 9,000-year-old essence medicine herbs. Can you handle it? If not, I'll find another chamber of commerce. We can handle it, of course, but the price will need further negotiation. The 1,000-Mile Mountain manager understood perfectly that the Imperial City Sword debate would inevitably attract the starry sky mirror, drawing global attention. Revenue was secondary, the influence this event would bring was what the 1,000-Mile Mountain Merchant Guild desperately wanted to secure. They couldn't let this opportunity fall into another's hands. This influence also included aligning themselves with the new martial mystic Dao Heavenly Emperor behind Li Weiyi. Fine. I have only one condition, Lu Jingchen and Lu Jingshan must be personally responsible for this matter. After finalizing the details with the 1,000-Mile Mountain manager, Li Weiyi left Crimson Bright Holy City and continued his northward journey. Inside the Fallen Soul Beast carriage. The 8 slashes of the Nether River originate from the Nether Path and Sword Dao, containing 8 profound and unfathomable sword intents, each connected to the Supreme Great Dao. I've cultivated this technique for 3,000 years, yet its depth and complexity continue to amaze me. Whenever I gain new insights, I record them meticulously. Study these 8 volumes of Sword Dao insights carefully, they should prove helpful. After passing the 8 slashes of the Nether River to Li Weiyi, Yu Yaozi patted her forehead, remembering something. She retrieved a cosmic pouch and tossed it onto the table. Princess Yun Chong sent this. She helped you acquire 2-6 Fiends Heavenly Winds. Li Weiyi opened the cosmic pouch to find the spoils from his Immortal Ascension competition 2 years ago, including Shan Shenzhe's Myriad Inscriptions artifact, the Bodhi Golden Bell, and Shenji's Myriad Inscriptions artifact, the Mountain Measuring Ruler. The 2-6 Fiends Heavenly Winds were contained within transparent rune wind pearls. Whoosh! Li Weiyi channeled spiritual qi through his hands, activating the rune wind pearls. Dense clusters of runes erupted from them. The 2 wind fiends roared, their qi razor sharp and their voices deafening. In midair, they coalesced into 2 ethereal, fiendish silhouettes, radiating intense malevolence. With his current cultivation level, Li Weiyi no longer feared them. However, subduing and controlling them still required considerable time. At Cave Void Camp, Li Weiyi had reviewed the latest battle records of the 8th generation immortal cultivators. Several of them possessed abnormally potent cultivation, concealing their true capabilities. Naturally, he dared not underestimate them. If the previous generation's Rice Palace's true disciple could reach the Nirvana realm, then others might appear at any cultivation level. He needed to prepare thoroughly and enhance his own strength as much as possible. Lu Jingchen and Lu Jingshan urgently traveled via space teleportation formation, rushing to the Sword Dao Imperial City at top speed. Xu Yejun, the chief manager of 1,000-Mile Mountain responsible for affairs in the Sword Dao Imperial City, summoned dozens of managers and stewards to a late-night meeting to discuss and make arrangements. We have barely over a month left, time is extremely tight. The venue will be the South City Heavenly Pavilion. Its martial arena is vast, its defensive formation is strong, and most importantly, it's less than 20 miles from both the No. 1 Scholar's Manor and the Royal Wedding Venue, connected by the main thoroughfare and navigable by the Weapon River, Lu Jingshan declared, having seen through Li Weiyi's intentions. Xu Yejun nodded. I agree. Standing beside Lu Jingshan urged, the most critical task now is to immediately issue the invitations. Otherwise, immortal ascension beings from distant regions won't have enough time to reach us. We need to build momentum quickly and spread the news to all the life realms, creating a buzz, one of the managers said. If we're going to do this, we should make it a grand event like the ranking competition, a spectacular finale for the Immortal Ascension competition. We've always wanted to do something like this, but we've never managed to pull it off before. Another manager added, a hero without a beauty is like a feast without wine. I suggest we gather the most renowned immortal messengers from every city in the Sword Dao Imperial Court at the South City Heavenly Pavilion and hold a competition to determine the chief immortal messenger. This could serve as a side event to add to the spectacle. Lu Jingshan said gravely, the most crucial thing is maintaining order and security. We can't rely solely on the Sword Dao Imperial Court's city guards and imperial guards. Let's summon a group of experts from the 10,000-mile tower. Agreed, Xu Yejun concurred once more. The following day, the Thousand-Mile Mountain Merchant Guild swiftly dispatched the 15 invitations for the Imperial City Sword debate to the various life realms and contested territories, delivering them directly to the invited participants. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 153, 828 Undercurrent Stir. 153rd of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Bu Lianxi, a practitioner residing in a Taoist temple on the outskirts of Sword Dao Imperial City, was the first to receive the invitation card. This temple was a place of great importance to the imperial court, housing a time formation within its grounds. Bu Lianxi possessed a refined appearance, handsome yet not effeminate, beautiful yet not demonic. After reading the invitation card, his eyes narrowed sharply. Only by facing Li Wei will talents realize the mountains are lower than the heavens. Is he truly challenging the 8th generation immortal cultivators? Does he dare to come? Boom. Bu Lianxi's pupils transformed into diamond-shaped points, like the tips of swords. Spiritual qi surged through his body, followed by a cracking sound within. The 7th immortal shackle had been broken. Heaven and earth's spiritual qi from the surrounding mountains converged upon him like rivers flowing into the sea, gathering at his 9 springs. Moments later, he transformed into a beam of light, soaring out of the time formation. Spiritual qi automatically coalesced around him into a colossal sword shadow, tearing through the air. His body seemed frozen within the blade. With a thunderous crash, Bu Lianxi landed squarely beside the martial arena in the temple's outer courtyard. 5 million immortal inscription characters swirled around him like a rain of swords before flowing back into his ancestral field. 6 other powerful cultivators, having heard news of the Imperial City Sword debate, had already arrived at the scene. Congratulations, senior brother Bu, on breaking through to the 7th immortal realm. With all 7 shackles shattered, you're now truly free, liberated from the mire, and your combat power has surged. Ha ha ha. That arrogant Li Wei has finally miscalculated. He's bound to suffer a crushing defeat in the Sword Dao Imperial City. When that happens, senior brother Bu, you must make him understand who is the mountain and who is the azure heaven. The second-ranked cultivator of the Sword Dao Imperial Court's 8th generation was named Xuanhuan. After the others finished their congratulations, Xuanhuan sighed solemnly, senior brother Bu's cultivation is profound. Having just broken through to the 7th immortal realm, he already possesses 5 million immortal inscriptions, rivaling mid-stage 7th immortal realm martial mystic cultivators. How confident are you? With all shackles gone, this breakthrough feels like a world-shattering transformation compared to previous ones. The 7th immortal realm is truly profound. If Li Wei is still at the level he was 2 years ago, surviving 3 of my strikes would be considered an accomplishment. But how could that be possible? Bu Lianxi was confident that even at the early stages of the 7th immortal realm, he could contend with experts in the Dao Harmony realm. As Xuanhuan and Bu Lianxi walked along the stone-paved path of the Taoist temple, Xuanhuan nodded in deep agreement. Li Wei's cultivation speed is astonishing. His daring to issue an invitation shows he has genuine confidence. We must remain vigilant. I've never underestimated him, Bu Lianxi said, a bitter smile twisting his lips. On the contrary, I've always valued him more than anyone else. Precisely because of this. He must die. I'll admit it, I envy him. I've never felt this way about any other martial mystic cultivator. He chuckled wryly. I heard the Grand Palace Master of Lingxiao Palace has become the 6th martial Dao Heavenly Emperor in the human race. Li Wei's status has risen accordingly. Apart from the Immortal Ascension competition, any attempt to kill him would come at an exorbitant price. The demon race's bloody example, where they sacrificed 3 transcendents, serves as a stark warning. Xuanhuan nodded. If they hadn't suffered such heavy losses, they wouldn't have involved the Heavenly Demon Empress. In my opinion, the Heavenly Demon Empress sensed a greater danger, Bu Lianxi countered. The demon race likely doesn't want Lingxiao Palace to produce a 3rd martial Dao Heavenly Emperor level expert in another 1,000 years. Whoosh. The holographic projection of the old ancestor of the Bai clan materialized before them. Greetings, ancestor. Master. Bu Lianxi and Xuanhuan immediately bowed in respect. The clone body solidified, becoming indistinguishable from the old ancestor's true form, its aura as vast and sacred as a primordial ocean. Lianxi, do you regret agreeing to this marriage? The old ancestor asked. Bu Lianxi smiled. Does master refer to the variable of the Grand Palace Master's Xuanhuan realm breakthrough? Huang Yuyao's breakthrough is insignificant. The Lingxiao Palace has unleashed both Emperor Realm Psychic Master and Martial Dao Heavenly Emperor, abandoning their hidden strength and shattering the balance of power. Yet they still dare to covet the East Sea Immortal Dao Dragon Vein and the Void Ruins Ancient Kingdom, their ambition far exceeding their grasp. Their destruction is imminent. Deep within his heart, the old ancestor of the Bai clan had yet to accept Yu Yaozi's Xuanhuan realm breakthrough, still referring to her as Huang Yuyao. He continued, the key lies with you. Even the jade tome of the life-preserving spring is secondary. What truly matters is Li Weiyi's death and the extraction of the secrets he carries. During their consultations, the old ancestor of the Bai clan, the demon monarch, and the heavenly demon empress unanimously agreed that the secrets hidden within Li Weiyi might surpass even the value of the life-preserving spring itself. Opening 10 springs was an achievement far beyond mere talent. Bu Lianxi replied, I have known countless heaven's chosen daughters, each possessing unparalleled beauty and extraordinary cultivation talent. Yet none have ever made me feel as Tang Wanzhou does, that I would sacrifice everything for her. Therefore, I have no regrets. If Li Weiyi dares to interfere, I will ensure his blood stains the imperial city. Excellent. With such resolve, victory is assured. The old ancestor of the Bai clan turned to Xuanhuan. Bring the tree immortal as a precaution. The tree immortal was the #1 scholar of the Sword Dao Imperial Court's 8th generation, a true disciple of the Sword Emperor, shrouded in mystery, and suspected to be non-human. After Xuanhuan departed, Bu Lianxi voiced his concern. If Wanzhou learns Li Weiyi is coming, given her temperament, I fear. If you can foresee this, do you think we haven't considered it? The old ancestor replied, his gaze piercing. The #1 scholar's manor will be sealed off. On the wedding day, we must guard against any extreme actions she might take and control her with talismans. The old ancestor had deeply considered Tang Wanzhou's potential for a desperate counterattack. Had Bu Lianxi not been an imperial clan prodigy, and had they not needed to lure Li Weiyi, the Sword Dao Imperial Court might have even considered selecting candidates from among the 7th generation immortal cultivators. The Sword Dao Imperial Court's ambitions extended far beyond merely retaining Tang Wanzhou, absorbing the Snow Sword Tang Court, and seizing the East Sea Immortal Dao Dragon Vein. They also had significant trade agreements with the Demon Monarch and the Heavenly Demon Empress. As the two most crucial pieces in this grand scheme, Bu Lianxi and Tang Wanzhou could not afford any missteps or unforeseen variables. Therefore, under the court's arrangements, Tang Wanzhou had withdrawn from the Immortal Ascension competition and remained confined to the #1 scholar's manor. At the border of the Demon Kingdom, in the Sigur Mountains, Long Lu, the second ranked of the 8th generation, stood over 6 meters tall. His laughter shook the ground as he strode back to camp, invitation in hand, bellowing. The invitation seeks Li Weiyi. Ha ha ha, what a joke. Hearing the name, Li Weiyi, Kuyao emerged from her seclusion, her voice cold as she demanded, finally, news of that southern dragon. He hasn't become a dead dragon, has he? There's news, but it has nothing to do with you 9th generation immortal ascendants. Long Lu tossed the invitation card at her. Kuyao summoned spiritual light to catch it. As she read the contents, her beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. After a long pause, she calmed her inner turmoil. What a cunning scheme. He's using the so-called 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone manual cultivation method to lure top experts from other factions, hoping they'll help him fight against the Demon Kingdom and the Sword Dao Imperial Court. Long Lu sneered. He's miscalculated. This is a dangerous game, and those top experts aren't fools. They won't risk their lives for some unverified Golden Holy Bone manual. Hey, Yuli must be ecstatic right now. She can disrupt Bu Lianxi's wedding and kill Li Weiyi in one stroke. Kuyao wanted to argue that Li Weiyi's actions would at least keep the top experts among the 8th generation immortal cultivators neutral and watching from the sidelines, preventing them from being recruited by the Demon Kingdom as they had been 3 years ago. After the announcement of Bu Lianxi and Tang Wanzhou's marriage, Yu Li, the 8th generation top scholar of the Demon Kingdom, entered a time formation near Xiaoyao capital for secluded cultivation. Upon her request, she was granted access to the finest cultivation resources without question. Upon receiving the invitation card, Yu Li first entered the palace to pay respects to the Demon Monarch's clone body. After leaving the palace, she was quickly escorted away by the Crown Prince's residence's carriage. At the Crown Prince's residence, Yu Daojun briefly inquired about Yu Li's cultivation progress, cautioned her to remain vigilant, and bestowed upon her a treasure to counter the evil camel bell. After Yu Li departed, a demon monarch's edict flew into the Crown Prince's residence. The entire household knelt to receive the decree, except for Yu Daojun, who merely bowed respectfully. Order Crown Princess Xuanhuan to depart immediately and assassinate Li Weiyi, whether before or after the Immortal Ascension competition. The 4 lines of demonic script slowly dissipated. The second palace master rose stiffly, her eyes flashing with both cold fury and fear. She turned to Yu Daojun with a pleading look. The old man is sending me to my death. He knows Huang Yuyao has broken through to the Xuanhuan realm. Li Weiyi's audacity in hosting the Imperial City Sword debate banquet proves Huang Yuyao's backing. I refuse to go, let's strike directly. Yu Daojun remained remarkably calm, his eyes lowered in deep thought. Perhaps he's trying to provoke me into acting. We haven't located his true body yet, which complicates matters. Our chances of success are slim. Then this is his strategy to sow discord among us, the second palace master said. He's systematically dismantling your support. This is the demon monarch's contingency plan. Empress Cao's clone body descended into the crown prince's residence amidst swirling nether mist. If you Li and the 8th generation immortal cultivators fail to eliminate Li Wei, you'll have to step in. If you refuse to go, Empress Cao continued, the demon monarch will use your disobedience as grounds to execute you at dawn. Knowing him as I do, his primary target isn't you, but Li Wei. Your mission is to draw Huang Yuyao away, only you can accomplish that. Yu Daojun's mind cleared as if struck by enlightenment. Even his usually unflappable composure cracked, revealing a flicker of horror. Mother, do you mean the demon monarch might sneak in personally to capture Li Wei? There's a 1 or 2% chance of that, Empress Cao replied. It's more likely he'll dispatch a transcendence he trusts implicitly. After all, everyone suspects Li Wei is hiding a secret even more valuable than the life-preserving spring. Capturing him would justify the demon monarch's gamble, whether to trade the life-preserving spring with Huang Yuyao or seize Li Wei's hidden fortune directly. Yu Daojun chuckled. If Li Wei truly possesses a secret more valuable than the life-preserving spring, then no transcendence can be trusted. Besides, if Huang Yuyao were to act, who could capture Li Wei except for her personally? Minmin, you must go to the Sword Dao Imperial City. Don't worry, I'll accompany you in secret. Even if Huang Yuyao reaches the Sword Dao Imperial Court, she wouldn't dare enter the Imperial City. The distance between her and the city will determine the future fate of Li Wei, the demon monarch, and the demon kingdom. How intriguing. After centuries of dormancy, has the old man's ambition rekindled? He must have discovered some secret on Li Wei with the heavenly demon empress. After all, surviving a direct strike from her is no ordinary feat. Yu Daojun's eyes flashed with sharp light, his blood surging with excitement. He relished such challenging endeavors and burst into a hearty laugh. Mother Empress, why don't you pay a visit to the Sword Emperor? Indeed, we must pay a visit, Empress Cao replied. The demon monarch has set his price, we must set ours as well. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 154 829 War. 154th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. The Moon River grassland was the most contested territory between the Zhongsheng Academy and the Sword Dao Imperial Court. Hu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and Qingshong led the Thousand-Mile Mountain Merchant Guild's envoys along the winding river, seeking out Kong Chengren and Mo Kui, the two strongest among the Zhongsheng Academy's 8th-generation immortal cultivators. The pair sat cross-legged on opposite banks, playing a game of Go across the river. There was no board, the black and white stones floated on the water's surface, sustained by their spiritual qi. The alternating patterns of the stones created a striking visual spectacle. Kong Chengren, dressed as a refined Confucian scholar, accepted the invitation card from the envoys with dignified grace. After reading it, his eyes narrowed in contemplation before he smiled faintly. Li Wei truly found 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual in the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy. You must know the truth of this. He mentioned it in the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy. It seems genuine, Hu Yanshou replied. He's trying to use me. Kong Chengren declared. A more accurate term would be, enticement. It's his specialty. Qingshong chuckled. She herself had fallen for his schemes multiple times. Very well, he's proven his cunning. I'll enter his game. Kong Chengren abruptly stood, withdrawing all his spiritual qi into his body. Splash. The white chess pieces on the water's surface sank into the river. Across the river, Mo Kui erupted in fury. Kong Chengren, can't you take a loss? Kong Chengren pondered for a moment, then flung the invitation card across the river, laughing loudly. It's just a game of chess. You can have the win. But the Grand Palace Master of Lingxiao Palace, the new Martial Dao Heavenly Emperor, has just ascended the throne. Her disciple, Li Wei, the top Earth-ranking champion, wielding the Martial Heavenly Emperor's authority, has issued an invitation. He invites the strongest of the 8th-generation immortal cultivators to the Sword Dao Imperial City for a grand banquet to discuss the 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual and explore the ultimate limits of the martial mystic Dao. I must depart immediately, I have no time to waste on this stinking game with you. Mo Kui caught the invitation card and read it. He sensed Li Wei's extreme arrogance, clearly issuing a challenge letter to the 8th-generation immortal cultivators. Suddenly, Mo Kui realized something was amiss and glared at the messenger across the river. Is this the only invitation card he sent? The messenger bowed respectfully. Zhongsheng Academy has indeed only been issued this single invitation. Kong Chengren straightened his robes, puffed out his chest, and declared, this proves the immense weight of the invitation. Only a figure like myself is qualified to represent all 8th-generation immortal cultivators in studying the 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual. Li Wei may be arrogant, but his judgment is impeccable. Mo Kui abandoned the chess game, his body technique flowing like the wind as he instantly crossed the river. Are you sure there's no second invitation card? What does Kong Chengren have that I don't? If he has one, why shouldn't I? Don't destroy the invitation in your anger. Give it back. Let's go to the Sword Dao Imperial City now, it's likely already the focus of the 100 Realms. You three, want to come along for the spectacle. After snatching the invitation card, Kong Chengren carefully stowed it away and turned to Pu Yanshou, Meng Kui, and Qingshang. Of course we're going. Back in the great ancient land of the Tao of Alchemy, he dangled the golden holy bone manual in front of us like a carrot. Now it's time to see if he delivers on that promise. The three of them followed, their youthful energy and lively banter filling the air. After walking for a while, Kong Chengren abruptly stopped and turned around. Brother Mo, why are you following us? You don't have an invitation card. Trying to tag along uninvited is quite embarrassing. Mo Kui knew all too well that if he didn't secure an invitation card to the Imperial City Sword debate, he would face ridicule from Kong Chengren and the other invited guests for the next 60-year cycle. With his thick skin, he replied calmly, I'm not interested in your pathetic Imperial City Sword debate. But if anyone dares to challenge the Sword Dao Imperial Court, Mo Kui will be there to lend a hand. Comparing himself to the heaven. How arrogant. Ha ha ha. Mo Duanfeng roared with laughter after reading the invitation card. Sheng Shidao, the 8th-generation top scholar of the Holy Dynasty, asked, based on your understanding of him, is the Golden Holy Bone Manual genuine? If he's doing this for Tang Wanzhou, then it's more real than pure gold. Don't you think his combat prowess is ridiculously overpowered for his realm? This finally explains it. Mo Duanfeng handed back the invitation card. Senior brother Sheng, if you lead the charge for fairness and justice in the Immortal Ascension competition at the Sword Dao Imperial City, you'll definitely gain access to the 3 cultivation manuals. Sheng Shidao smiled. Very well. Our generation hasn't gathered like this in 60 years. The Imperial City Sword debate will be the perfect opportunity to settle old scores and re-establish our rankings. What about that one from the Rice Palace? He's already broken through to the Nirvana realm. What does the Immortal Ascension competition matter to him? Inside the Hall of the Fallen Soul Beast Carriage, Li Wei wove a time cocoon using the Dao Ancestors Tai Chi fish, encasing himself within. The azure cocoon, 3 meters in diameter, shimmered with iridescent light, resembling smoke and mist. Its strength far surpassed previous iterations, capable of influencing the surrounding temporal field. Having reached the 6th realm of the Holy Spiritual Master, activating the time cocoon now granted a time ratio of 1 to 12, surpassing even the nether domain. The Chun cocoon, spun by the Chun silkworm, boasted an even more exaggerated time ratio. However, it suffered from numerous flaws. First, upon hatching, the time backlash was exceptionally severe. Second, the Chun cocoon could not withstand the chi fluctuations of a Nirvana realm expert, shattering like a bubble. In other words, it was only effective against cultivators below the Nirvana realm. Yu Yaozi sat serenely at a jade desk above the hall, Dao resonance swirling around her as she studied and practiced the Golden Holy Bone Manual and the Golden Bone Scripture. Over a month had passed, and she had already completed the first 4 tiers of cultivation. The 5th tier would require at least 1 to 2 years of dedicated practice. Once mastered, the physical body's strength, combined with her current cultivation level, would grant a noticeable boost to her combat prowess. The 6th tier demanded an immense number of laws. Even with her Xuanhuan realm cultivation, achieving mastery would take decades. But once perfected, her power would surge dramatically. Senior Zongsheng and the other ancient sages truly possessed profound wisdom. Even apart from this more refined Golden Holy Bone Manual, I still haven't been able to decipher the pill formulas for the Immortal Pill and Holy Spiritual Pill. Golden Skeleton Heavenly Clan, Azure Cloud Furnace, 10th layer of the Underworld, Great Ancient Land of the Tao of Alchemy. Yu Yaozi tilted her head slightly, gazing at the azure cocoon at the center of the Grand Hall as she murmured to herself. Recalling the ancient secrets that had been circulating among the human race's upper echelons in southern Yingzhou over the past 2 years, she secretly resolved to visit the Great Ancient Land of the Tao of Alchemy once the current matter was resolved. The events at the Great Ancient Land of the Tao of Alchemy had repercussions throughout Yingzhou. Even distant immortal dynasties and imperial sects in Central Plains, the Buddhist kingdoms and ancestral temples in the West, had descendants of ancient sages of the great alchemical movement arriving in response to the news. From the far north, even great cultivators of the Nirvana realm from the ancient immortal Desolate clan had arrived ahead of schedule. This was one of the reasons why the army of the dead had retreated. Only those in the upper echelons had access to such confidential information. Cultivators of different realms inhabited the same world, yet each realm perceived the world and accessed information in entirely different ways. I wonder how it compares to the Mist Master's 16-foot golden body. The 16-foot golden body, containing 11 kingdoms, is hailed as an immortal technique, attainable only upon reaching the Xuanhuan realm. Yu Yaozi had yet to master it. Awoo! The 3 fallen soul beasts pulling the carriage let out 3 long howls. The carriage tore through the clouds and plunged toward the ground. They had reached their destination. Whoosh! Whoosh! 9 sword beams shot forth from the time cocoon, piercing the air in all directions. Li Weiyi's heroic figure, seated in meditation, emerged from the shattered cocoon's shimmering green mist. 9 divine sword talismans, their runes swirling like living entities, glowed with blinding golden light as they danced around him. Sword chi crisscrossed the air, moving with the speed of 9 streaks of light. Moments later, all 9 talismans flew into the spirit realm between his eyebrows. Having reached the 6th realm of the Holy Spiritual Master, Li Weiyi already possessed the foundation to craft divine sword talismans, though his success rate remained low. Now, with heavenly talisman mud and guidance from Yu Yaozi, a master of psychic power, his abilities had been greatly enhanced. Had Li Weiyi not worried about crafting too many talismans that might prove useless in the future, wasting resources and money, he could have created several more. Instead, he divided his time and energy between talisman crafting and studying formations. Ultimately, talismans and formations served only as emergency measures, surprise attacks, fallback plans, and auxiliary tools for him. Once he reached the Nirvana realm, even mastering countless divine sword talismans would offer little practical benefit. But without it, things would be utterly impossible. Over the past month, Yu Yaozi had finally acted as a true master. Li Weiyi's understanding and mastery of the talisman Dao, formations, profound perception, and laws had advanced by leaps and bounds. Previously obscure concepts had become clear and interconnected. He had also sought her guidance on condensing the Nirvana heavenly core and challenging the Holy Spiritual King. This journey had been immensely rewarding for Li Weiyi, fostering genuine master-disciple affection. Yet their relationship remained complex and fraught with contradictions. Have we reached the Sword Dao Imperial City? Li Weiyi asked as he followed Yu Yaozi out of the carriage. Stepping onto the ground, he gazed at the magnificent ancient city in the distance. Its walls, like a coiled dragon, gleamed with a cold metallic luster in the morning light. Before them, large groups of sword-wielding martial mystic cultivators emerged from the city, each radiating heroic vigor as they set off in unknown directions. Even the air itself seemed permeated with sword intent. This is Huo City, which guards the capital. The Sword Dao Imperial City lies 3,000 miles further, Yu Yaozi replied, her left hand behind her back and her right palm raised. Guided by strands of spiritual qi, the soul beast carriage flipped, shrank, and vanished into her palm. She gazed into the distance, perceiving things Li Weiyi could not see. I can only take you this far. Is that acceptable? If the Grand Palace Master doesn't enter the Sword Dao Imperial City, she'll be controlled by others. If she does enter, she'll still be controlled by others, Li Weiyi said. Yu Yaozi nodded slightly. Li Weiyi, you must constantly remind yourself that this isn't a marriage snatching or an imperial city sword debate. It's a war, and one far more brutal than any conventional conflict. We're venturing deep into enemy territory, and we can't afford even the slightest carelessness. If I enter the imperial city, the Sword Emperor will not only have superior cultivation but also command the heavenly law, earth formation, and human army. We'll have no chance of negotiation, and you'll never be able to take Tang Wanzhou away. No one can overturn the Sword Emperor's decree. I will control over 10 transcendents and a large number of Immortal Realm martial mystic cultivators from the Bai City and Huo City camps, holding them as hostages. Only then can you enter the Sword Dao Imperial City to fight and have any chance of success. As an Immortal Realm cultivator, if you lose, the moral high ground will be theirs. You'll be branded a criminal for tarnishing the imperial dignity and causing chaos in the capital. They have 100 ways to pin false charges and scandals on you, leaving you as helpless as a dead dog, at their mercy. Tang Shituo and I would then be forced to intervene, severing ties with the Sword Dao Imperial Court. That would escalate into a full-scale war, costing us 10 or even 100 times more, leading to a lose-lose situation for both sides. But if you win, the moral high ground will be ours. The Sword Dao Imperial Court will be seen as unjust and tyrannical. To avoid losing face completely, the Sword Emperor will have no choice but to accept my terms. Tang Shituo can then stand tall and negotiate with the Sword Emperor as an equal, instead of kneeling and begging for mercy, forced to accept all their unreasonable demands. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel. Novel. The Primordial Law. Volume 7. The Struggle for Immortal Realm. Chapter 155, 830, The Sword Dao Imperial City. 155th of Volume 7. Translator. Shadow Knight AK. Editor. Shadow Knight AK. Yu Yaozi, sensing his burden, added, don't dwell on our war. Focus on your own task, complete it well, and after this battle, we'll return to Lingxiao City together. Li Weiyi understood perfectly. His battle was for righteousness. If righteousness prevailed, he could subdue his enemies without bloodshed. If righteousness failed, his allies would be forced to confront the enemy head-on. Among the martial Dao heavenly emperors of the human race, there was an unspoken agreement to avoid openly tearing apart their facade of harmony. If Yu Yaozi were to break this pact, she would suffer the same fate as Yu Baxian. Yu Baxian had been hunted across 4 million miles by Zhenhai Guanwu, forced to swear an oath to save his life, and utterly humiliated. On the 30th day of the 12th lunar month, the old year drew to a close. Before dawn, snow swirled across the desolate plains. Shui Qianshu, Deputy Sentinel Lord of the Great Void Camp and leader of this year's Immortal Ascension Competition Enforcement Team, stood bowed beneath an ancient roadside locust tree, listening intently to Yu Yaozi's instructions. The branches of the locust tree were laden with snow. Facing Heavenly Emperor, one could stand tall and unbowed. But before the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor of the human race, every cultivator, whether student or subject, had to bow deeply. Li Wei held the imperial jade carriage Tang Wanzhou had given him when she left Cave Void Camp, channeling spiritual qi to activate it. From several dozen steps away, Shui Qianshu repeatedly assured, "Your Majesty, rest assured. Before the Immortal Ascension competition concludes, the enforcement group will spare no effort to protect the Immortal Ascension beings. This is our duty. And after it ends?" Yu Yaozi asked, seated beneath the tree. Shui Qianshu paused slightly before replying, "As long as they are members of the Sentinel Spirit Army, this old one will personally ensure their safety. Anyone who dares to openly attack them will face the wrath of the Sentinel Commander and the entire Sentinel Spirit Army." "Very well," Yu Yaozi said. "If anything goes wrong, I will hold you, Shui Qianshu, accountable." Boom. Roar. One dragon's roar after another echoed through the air, the sonic waves shaking the snowflakes into a chaotic dance. The jade carriage landed with a heavy thud, its golden and jade splendor as grand as a palace. 14 jade steps extended downward from the palace doors to the ground. 4 dragon souls of snow dragon Jiaos materialized before the jade carriage, each stretching dozens of meters long, their massive claw prints and ferocious, glaring eyes radiating a powerful qi that intensified the surrounding icy chill. At the center, Li Wei extracted the dragon soul from his governor's robe and refined it into a 100-meter-long entity. The 5 dragons stood parallel, heads raised and claws brandishing, poised to soar into the heavens with majestic grandeur. This was the carriage of the ancient heavenly emperor. Shui Qianshu glanced at the imperial jade carriage. "Li Wei, you're being far too ostentatious. What will you do if you lose? Is this against the law?" Li Wei asked. "As long as you don't use it for combat or escape, we can find a way to justify it," Shui Qianshu replied. "Thank you, Deputy Sentinel Lord. This carriage carries a special significance today." Dressed in the white robes of the Shaoyang division, Li Wei ascended the jade steps one by one, standing on the high platform outside the carriage palace. Gazing toward the Sword Dao Imperial City, he declared, "Let's depart." Shui Qianshu glanced helplessly at Yu Yaozi, his eyes pleading, "Aren't you going to do something about this?" "Young people should be bold and ambitious," Yu Yaozi replied, turning to leave. Hiding their talents and lacking the spirit to dominate the world would be a betrayal of their fleeting youth. She left Shui Qianshu to handle the rest of the journey. The 5-dragon jade carriage set off with grand fanfare, its dragon's roar echoing endlessly, its qi vibrations shaking the land for hundreds of miles. Cultivators traveling to the Sword Dao Imperial City initially assumed it was a top-tier transcendence of the royal clan on the move. But closer inspection revealed it was a young martial mystic cultivator. It's Southern Dragon Li Wei. I saw him at the ranking competition. He's finally here. Everyone's been waiting anxiously, but he never showed up. We thought he was just making empty threats. Turns out he was timing his arrival perfectly, arriving on the very last day. He probably feared being ambushed in the Sword Dao Imperial City, so he dared not arrive earlier. Is he the Li Wei who compares himself to Azure Heaven? Quick, send word to the Imperial City. Azure Heavenly Li Wei has arrived. He's riding the ancient Heavenly Emperor's jade carriage, drawn by 5 dragons. After more than a month of fermentation, news of the Imperial City sword debate had spread like wildfire. Li Kanjin's moniker had already eclipsed Southern Dragon in renown. When the news reached Sword Dao Imperial City, the entire city erupted in excitement. Countless young martial mystic cultivators ventured 100 miles beyond the city walls to welcome him, eager to witness the legendary figure who had claimed the title of the strongest top Earth ranking champion in history. At least for this moment, all the 8th generation immortal cultivators who had converged on Sword Dao Imperial City felt like mountains crushed beneath the heavens, their glory completely overshadowed. Having traveled only halfway through the 3,000-mile journey, Li Wei had already faced 7 waves of challenges from 8th generation immortal cultivators, each possessing formidable cultivation. Some were resentful at not receiving invitation cards and sought to prove their worth. Others had been dispatched by the Sword Dao Imperial Court and the Demon Kingdom sect to assess his strength in advance, allowing them to prepare accordingly. All were ignored. As long as Li Wei refrained from initiating challenges, the 8th generation immortal cultivators were forbidden from attacking him during the Immortal Ascension competition. Whoosh! Vibrant red silk fluttered through the void. A graceful, ethereal figure descended onto the roof of the 5-dragon jade carriage, settling on the eaves with slender, jade-like legs crossed. Layers of crimson silk swirled around her as she let out a melodious, bell-like laugh. Hey, Li Kanjin, do you still remember the Eastern Sea Wuhangaling? Stop fooling around. I have serious business today, Li Wei said without turning around, his gaze fixed on the purple-clad woman, Yu Yanjun, and a young man who resembled her standing beside her. I'm so jealous of Tang Wanzhou, Wu Hongling said, feigning annoyance. Oh, and Zuoqiu Hongting too. Only she knew how much of her words were genuine and how much was pretense. The 4 members of the Rice Palace had come seeking an invitation card. Yu Yanjun was the strongest among the 8th-generation immortal cultivators of the Rice Palace, second only to the true disciple. Her name was on Li Wei's invitation list. Standing beside her was her twin brother, Yu Wuzhen. Yu Yanjun recalled the battle between Li Wei and Shang Wulian beneath the East Sea. Now, seeing his imposing figure atop the jade carriage, her feelings were complex. This time, she no longer looked down on him. She smiled warmly. Wu Zhen has cultivated to the 7th immortal realm, yet he has always maintained a low profile, rarely engaging in combat for the past 60 years. Recently, growing restless, he wishes to test his skills against his peers in the martial mystic cultivator world. However, he did not receive an invitation, so he has come to request one personally. Their humble demeanor made it clear, they were here to request an invitation. They wanted to negotiate the price for viewing the 3 volumes of the Golden Holy Bone Manual in advance. Li Wei realized that Yu Yanjun's cultivation was even higher than Yu Wuzhen's, confirming his suspicion that the Rice Palace possessed the Nether Spirit Ancient Tree. All the invitations have already been sent out. Li Wei sighed. Yu Yanjun transmitted telepathically, although the 8th-generation immortal cultivators can only challenge you individually, not in groups, that, individually, leaves much room for interpretation. We've been instructed not to directly assist you, but we can help ensure a fair and equitable battle environment. Li Wei immediately changed his tone. Then I must confess my ignorance for overlooking such a true hero. Brother Wu Zhen, you must attend tonight's Imperial City Sword Debate Banquet. He promptly produced an invitation card and inscribed, Yu Wuzhen, on it. Throughout the exchange, Yu Yanjun never mentioned the Golden Holy Bone Manual, nor did Li Wei attempt to haggle. Both parties understood that access to the manual depended entirely on their actions, whether their efforts would be deemed worth the price. Along the way, Mo Kui and Pu Yanshou of Zhongsheng Academy, Mo Duanfeng and others from the Holy Dynasty, and top-tier experts among the 8th-generation immortal cultivators from various factions successively arrived, seeking invitation cards and secretly negotiating terms. Li Wei issued 2 more invitation cards. Having received identical warnings from multiple sources, the 8th-generation immortal cultivators of Zhongsheng Academy and the Holy Dynasty were also cautioned by their superiors against participating in the impending battle. Mo Duanfeng explicitly informed Li Wei, the higher-ups have declared this a war between Lingxiao Palace and the Sword Dao Imperial Court. Furthermore, rumors are circulating among the elites that your value surpasses even the life-preserving spring. Taking your life is deemed more crucial than seizing the jade tome of the life-preserving spring. Li Wei remained inwardly calm, fully aware of the dangerous situation lurking beneath the surface of today's festive atmosphere. How could a conflict that had drawn the personal intervention of a martial Dao Heavenly Emperor possibly be anything but dangerous? As the 5-dragon jade carriage approached within 100 miles of the Sword Dao Imperial City, the surrounding plains teemed with martial mystic cultivators. The crowd erupted in cheers, shouting, the invitation receiver has come to see Li Wei. Some offered congratulations, wishing eternal life to the Grand Palace Master. While others roared, the bridal procession has already departed. The Sword Dao Imperial City loomed into view, its grandeur overwhelming. The dense forests of sword pavilions and sword towers towered even higher than the city walls. Amidst the chaos outside the city gates, Li Wei spotted Nangong Baikai and Lu Yi in the distance, clad in their white Shaoyang division guards. The 3 exchanged smiles. The 2 women ascended the jade steps on either side of the jade carriage, reaching the elevated platform. They bowed respectfully. Greetings, Holy Commander. Li Wei said, the Immortal Ascension competition isn't over yet, Nangong. You shouldn't have come. What if the Light Spring and the Empress's scepter are lost? I've reached the 5th immortal realm of cultivation now, Nangong Baikai declared, her face radiating confidence. Unless Ji Yu Junxiang himself appears, who can stop me? With the Holy Commander here, which 9th generation immortal ascendant would dare act recklessly? Not even Ji Yu Junxiang would dare. The Shaoyang guard all possessed 5 Chun silkworms each. As the Void Ruins Holy Maiden, Nangong Baikai had even more, naturally leading to rapid advancements in her cultivation. Lu Yi interjected, we're already here. Let's go. I'll lead the way to intercept Bu Lianxi's wedding procession. At the 3rd quarter of Sea Hour, the snow continued to fall. The sky had long since brightened. The 5-dragon jade carriage entered the city gates unchallenged, merging with the surging crowd as it followed the wide weapon river toward the venue of the imperial wedding ceremony. A marriage bestowed by the martial Dao Heavenly Emperor was known as a heavenly marriage, and the ceremony would be held at the Heavenly Sword Altar. When did I ever say I was going to intercept the wedding procession? Li Wei asked. Stop talking nonsense. Did you come here for the wedding feast? I thought after your arrogant declaration in the invitations, you'd show up in full wedding robes, leading a carriage laden with betrothal gifts. I was sure Tang Wanzhou wouldn't be able to resist, and your union would be assured. Ah, you're so domineering toward your enemies, but when it comes to romance, you're utterly clueless. Snap. Lu Yi cracked her spiritual chi whip, urging the 5-dragon jade carriage forward. Li Wei turned to Nangong Baikai. Is that really what you all think? Compared to Zhuoqiu Hongting, the Shaoyang Guard naturally supports Tang Wanzhou. Honestly, you really are clueless, Nangong Baikai said with a half-smile. Traveling with companions was a world apart from journeying alone. Li Wei shook his head and sighed, secretly relieved that only these 2 members of the Shaoyang Guard had come. Otherwise, they might have forced him into a red wedding robe. Blank. End of chapter. Subscribe to the MTL World at Malworld 1 YouTube channel.